The Mexican celebration of El Dia de los Muertos is more than a great topic for a movie like the movie Coco. It is a special celebration typically celebrated November 1st and 2nd. One family is keeping that tradition alive here in New Jersey. It's all here on the next Latino Motion. Join us.
Choose to get lost in the woods to gain experience in forest management.
Choose to travel through time to understand the past.
Choose to soar to pursue a career in dance.
Stockton University offers 50 high-quality academic programs, small class sizes, and affordable tuition. Choose to match your interests and talents at one of New Jersey's nationally ranked universities.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation, and Stockton University. This edition of Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is brought to you by the HD Studios at the campus of Stockton University.
Funding for Latino Motion is provided by Atlanticare, offering primary, specialty, and urgent care, plus surgery and more. Atlantic City Electric, energy for a changing world. And South Jersey Gas.
Welcome to Latino Motion, a weekly interview show highlighting issues impacting New Jersey's Latino community while advancing understanding of Latino cultural heritage and contributions to our society. And here is your host, Bert Lopez.
Buenos dias and welcome to Latino Motion. The Mexican celebration of El Dia de los Muertos is typically celebrated November 1st and November 2nd. And one family is keeping that tradition alive here in New Jersey. So I'm happy to have Veronica and her two girls with her, as well as Oscar, who are joining us in the studio, actually remotely. We're not in the studio, but thank you for joining us here on Latino Motion.
Thank you, and thank you for having us. I mean, it's a pleasure to be able to share this with, with other communities and be able to continue celebrating.
Well, I'm going to go right to you, Veronica. Can you introduce your two young ladies here?
Yes, so she's my daughter Valeria. She's I'm
a senior at Princeton. I'm studying public policy and computer science, and I'm currently the president of the Latino Student Association on campus. This is my sister.
And my name is Kiara, and I'm a senior in high school.
Well, and I know this is a big family tradition, celebrating El Dia de los Muertos. We also have Oscar. Oscar, are you there?
Yeah, hi, Bert. My name is Oscar Torres Reina. I am Veronica's husband, and so I am the plus one, as always they say, and I work at Princeton University as a data and statistics consultant.
Well, most of us know about El Dia de los Muertos through Coco, the movie Coco. It was a fabulous movie. It's a big hit. I know that my sons watched it dozens of times, and I really enjoy the movie, the meaning behind it. And I think that many folks perhaps didn't appreciate the Dia de los Muertos really meant till that movie came out. But for you specifically, Veronica, what does that day mean in that celebration?
Well, that celebration for us is in particular, as a Mexican family who immigrated to the United States, right? Having two children in the United States and trying to raise them in another country, because I'm original from Mexico and my husband as well. I wanted to make sure that we keep our traditions and culture alive. It was really very important for us to continue, for them to grow up, getting to know, part of our culture. And Day of the Dead is one of the biggest celebration and tradition, and it's a big, part of our culture, as I mentioned before. We usually celebrate on November 1st and 2nd. November 1st is usually celebrated for the little angels that we call is for the children who have passed away. And November 2nd is for the adults. We gather together, the families gather together on that day, but before that, we put together altars in our homes, putting things that will remember and honor the people who have passed away during that, many family members, right? For example, last July, my father passed away, and it was the first time, even though I've been doing this in our community for so many years, that I have to place, somebody who was close to our family, right? And for me, it was such an important thing to do as part of my culture and tradition, to have been able to put my father on the top of the altar and be able to honor
and that's an important part of it, right? Is having the altar like we saw in the movie Coco. And Oscar, how important is it for you to make this a family event? I know your girls, your wife, and yourself are all engaged in this. And how important is that for you?
I think this is very important because at the center of the celebration of Day of the Dead is the building of the community coming together. And as you saw in the movie, as you will make the reference to the movie, it's a family affair. So it's a family affair that is completely different from other celebrations. And I think I would like to make something very clear since the beginning, is that the Day of the Dead is not the Mexican Halloween. And because I hear many people refer to the Day of the Dead as a Mexican Halloween, it is not. It is completely the opposite, because it's a celebration that has been happening in Mexico and big part of the American continent for over 3,000 years.
Well, that is significant. And I'll go back to your girls, and Valeria, I'll start with you. As a youth growing up, and you've known this holiday your entire life, and it's something that you've come to appreciate. Tell me how you get involved in this celebration.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, it's been incredibly important. Just like to start with, like, it's been really important to maintain the traditions alive, especially us being far away from our family. And so it's been really wonderful to be able to also involve other members of the community who may not have celebrated previously this event, right? And the celebration as a way to like engage the community and bring people together and really share our cultures and traditions. One way that we get involved is we pretty much spend a month leading up to the event creating little sugar skulls. My dad is the sugar skull master.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's we also make mariposas, as you can see behind us. We've made cempasúchil flowers. I grew up basically making this like arch that we set on top of the altar with my sister's help and my family's help, out of paper cempasúchil flowers, which are in English are marigolds. And that's like a very also significant flower in the celebration. So yeah.
And Kiara, how about yourself? How do you celebrate, and the meaning of this for you?
Yeah, I mean, similarly, we always just get together as a family and are able to celebrate. And I think one of the most important parts of the event is how we get to share with our community. For me, I go to the high school here, and there will be a lot of high school volunteers that come. And I think it's really important that the school community comes and they get involved and they get to learn about the culture and get to learn about, making even cempasúchil flowers, getting to do the arts and crafts behind it, getting to participate in the event, and just being able to learn more about our culture, and just in general, like connecting with my family in that way. It's just really special every single year being able to do that.
So that is great. And you're in Princeton, so it's not necessarily a primarily a Latino community, but yet it seems like right from the high school where you're involved and your sister and family engaged, this is well accepted. What do you attribute that to?
Well, I think, we were very lucky to have an art center like the Arts Council of Princeton, right? So this is where we are right now. I'm an art instructor at the Arts Council of Princeton, and I'm also a board member. And I have been very lucky that the art centers in our community have been able to, to provide this space and help us with, help us to put this together every year. So it's growing and growing. And it's from, just having the main celebration. Now we're having workshops every weekend. There is a lot of preparation for the big event that is going to be on November 6th, and it's open to the public. And then in addition to that, this year we're having a partnership with MacArthur, which is one of the local theater. MacArthur is making, they put together a Sugar Skull play. Princeton University professor is the director, and we are able to put that in partnership with MacArthur. We're going to have a virtual play celebration. And
I do want to get more into the specific of this. Unfortunately, I got to take a quick break, but we want to talk a little bit about how this progresses in the celebration and the meaning of the skulls, the meaning of the mariposas. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more Latino Motion.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation. Join us online at www.latinomotion.tv. Find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. We encourage your comments and contributions for show topics.
Welcome back to Latino Motion. We continue our discussion about the celebration of El Día de los Muertos, and I'm happy that I have Veronica Olivares Weber with us, as well as her husband, Oscar, and the two girls. We have Valeria and Kiara. Ladies and Oscar, welcome once again. We were talking about El Día de los Muertos, and there's a lot of symbolisms and meanings behind it. And I want to start with the meaning of the skull. Oscar, I heard that you are the skull master, if you will. Tell me a little bit about the meaning behind the skull and all of the beautiful art that's around that.
Yeah, thank you for the question. I mean, yeah, the skulls are the typical representation which is at the center of the main celebration of Day of the Dead. If you notice, in Day of the Day celebration, there are no costumes. Because at the end of the day, what the Day of the Day celebration means is that during those times, during the celebrations, we remove the costume that we have naturally. So we remove a skin, no matter what color it is, no matter who we are, no matter what we think. When we remove the skin, the skull is at the end. So one of the main messages of the Day of the Dead is that we are all the same. At the end of the day is the base, and that's the center of the idea of the Day of the Dead. So the skulls represent the bones that are taken care by the Lady of the Dead, which you can mention in Coco. Well, Lady of the Dead is the protector of the bones, and in the Olmec tradition and the Aztec tradition is being taken care by the Lady of the Dead, which is Mictecancihuatl. And in the movie also, there is another representation from the Mayan culture, which is Xibalba, which is the representing the underworld. So yeah, there are so many symbolisms, and the skulls represent the bones and represents obviously the dead.
So I want to go back to Veronica. Veronica, I know that in addition to the skull, there are other symbolisms like the altar and placing the pictures on the altar, the key. I understand there's other symbolisms on the altar. I believe food or other things are also part of the altar. Can you talk a little bit more about the significance of that?
Yes, so during that day, during that time, we also celebrate, we are celebrating the people who pass away, right? So we're celebrating their life. So we put together altars to honor what they have, shared with us and the memories that they have created with all of us. And what we do, we usually have the tradition is to have the cempasúchil flower. And the cempasúchil flower has a really particular smell, right? So we actually have in our altar, I don't know if you have noticed, there's like a big arch usually in the altars, and that is kind of, it believes that is the entrance of the souls coming to visit their altar. We also have, in addition to the sugar skull, we have a play with salt, and it talks about the purification of the body. We have the water that is, water or purifies the body. And then we have pan de muerto, which is very, it's a pan de muerto that we have everybody put in the altar. And in addition to that, we have, candles and candies and things that are particularly important for the people that we're trying to honor and remember into our altars. We have, the monarch butterflies also have a lot of meaning.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask about that. I know, Valeria, you pointed out to las mariposas earlier. What's the meaning behind las mariposas?
Yeah, so basically like monarch butterflies, as you can see behind us, right, migrate to Mexico during the time of Dia de los Muertos, around that, season. There's a specific city in Mexico, I think is it Michoacan? And so, and so in Michoacan, the state, basically all these monarch butterflies you can see, it's incredible. Like the trees are covered in monarch butterflies. And essentially what it means is it's like the souls of the dead arriving. And so when there's monarch butterflies all around you, it's essentially like a special connection between the living and the dead. And so they're seen as carrying their souls. And that's why it's a very important aspect of Dia de los Muertos.
And Kiara, I know that it looks like there's also a lot of the paper. I see the decoration that's directly behind you. That's traditionally handmade, cut up paper to make the different designs. What's the meaning behind that?
Yeah, so one of the important things that we use in our events to decorate both the altar and to show everyone is papel picado.
The meaning is the fragility of life.
And so one of the interesting things is you can see there's like a lot of holes, and much of the time it'll be made of paper. So since it is very fragile, that's the meaning behind it, the fragility.
Yeah. There's also like it basically there's really interesting like drawings or pictures or scenes almost in the papel picado. And there's also even meaning in, for example, like the cempasúchil flowers. I don't know if you want to speak more about that. But basically going back to the cempasúchil flowers, which you can see some like paper renditions up there, which are bigger ones than we usually make. But a really important aspect of that is, like my mother said, for the arch, because they're so bright in color, orange and
just like in the movie Coco, right?
So it's essentially like leading the path for your loved ones to come and visit you.
And in terms of the altar, we have papel picado, which is part of representing the fragility of life, but also the wind, which is one of the the representation of the what we should have in an altar.
Now, I know that you guys are, again, working with the Art Council of Princeton. I got it right. The Art Council of Princeton. And there's a lot of events that are coming up. Can you talk to me a little bit about some of those events? We'll go into detail in a few minutes, but just give me a rundown of what events are taking place.
Yes, so the meaning of we usually have a big event. So that's the event that we open to the whole community. And it's where we, as family, and the artistic director of the Art Council of Princeton, Maria Evans, also is working with us during that time. We make over 400 sugar skulls every year, where people can come and decorate the sugar skulls, and they can take it home or they can place it in our altar. This year we have a public altar. We're gonna allow people to come and put ofrendas or put a picture of the relative or somebody who has passed away who means something, who they want to honor. In addition to that, during the event, we have mariachis, we have traditional food. This year, we're going to have El Oaxaqueño. It's a local restaurant who's going to be, maybe tamales. I still don't know exactly what, but it's a traditional Mexican food. We have free activities. We teach how to make the tissue paper, cempasúchil flowers. We have butterflies. We have an activity of butterflies that children are decorating. And
Monica, not to cut you off, but unfortunately, we got to take a quick break. But I want to get into a little more detail on this. We're just going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more Latino Motion. Welcome back to Latino Motion. We continue our discussion about the great celebration of El Día de los Muertos, a Mexican celebration that is really celebrated in a very big way with a special family that I have as our guest. And we have Veronica Olivares Weber, who is also with the Board of Trustees for the Arts Council of Princeton, as well as her husband, Oscar. And we have Valeria and Kiera. Welcome back. Oscar, I'm going to turn to you because one of the things that you had mentioned after we were talking about the altar was there are different levels on the altar, and I want to get into a little bit of that. Can you give me a little more about the meaning?
Yeah, the different meanings, the meanings of the levels. If you notice, many altars are in different parts. So those levels represents. There is no particular rule, but it represents different levels of existence. So it could have 2 levels, which mean sky or heaven, or it could have 3 levels, which is sky, heaven, or the underworld. Or it can have more than that. More levels depends on the beliefs of the family that put the altar. So the levels is important. The arch, as Veronica mentioned before, the arch is basically the portal to the underworld. So that's where the spirits come and go back to where they came. And then the cempasúchil flowers, as my daughters mentioned, is basically that. It's a guidance to the world, to the spirit. The pan de muerto, which is a representation of the soul and bones. Papel picado, which as mentioned before, is represent that fragility of life. The incense to purify the soul to protect actually the dead from mortal sins, so they don't get the stuff that we have here. And the sugar skulls, which is also a main component, a representation of the dead. Beyond that, there is all kind of things, food, drinks, and mementos that all those who pass away remember. So all come together into this big celebration of life, which is the Day of the Dead. It is a big cultural event.
Now, not to go back to the movie Coco, but going back to the movie Coco,
yeah.
One of the big dilemmas in the movie was the fact that if the picture wasn't put up, right,
exactly.
that they would really fade away because no one would remember them. And remember that beautiful song, Remember Me, was part of that movie. So how important is it to remember those loved ones and to honor them in this way?
It is part of here's the thing, the original celebration, the indigenous celebration from the Day of the Dead, we welcome them, welcome the dead once a year in this world. And we are very happy to that. So we should remember them with affection and be happiness. In the ancient world, in the Mexican mythology, being sad about the dead, it was an insult to the dead. So you should be happy. That's why you have mariachis playing music in the cemeteries. So that remembrance, remembering all those who pass away is pretty much the most important part, because that's when life and death get connected to each other, and the sense of community and the sense of family comes together.
And I know family is a big, important part for you, Oscar, as well as you, Veronica. And Oscar, I know you are very involved with your family in this work, volunteering as well. And I know your daughters feel that you're a little humble about all you do. But you led a great example. You and Veronica and your girls are also very much engaged. And I'll start with Valeria. I know that you are president of the Princeton Latino Association. So you're very much giving back and getting engaged in the community. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so it's our undergraduate student group. We also work with grad students and faculty and staff. My dad actually used to be the president of the faculty and staff version. So we got to work together, which was really lovely. But part of the organization really is making sure that there is a community for Latina and Latin American students on campus to congregate. We have really lovely events, and we have ways of getting involved with the community. And so we were working with my mom and my family as well. So we just had Festival Latino on the 25th of September. and we helped out with that. And more to come. We also, we grew up volunteering in town because we really understood the value of giving back, right? And so my sister and I actually co-founded an organization called Code Equal.
Code Equal is a nonprofit that we started about 4 years ago. 5 years ago now. So I was in 8th grade, and we started teaching computer science to young students in the hopes of getting more minority Latino students into computer science and more young women. And so we gave computer science classes for free, and we're still doing it.
Workshop.
Wow, and that's exciting, particularly trying to get more of our Latino and particularly Latinas engaged in the science, right, in STEM careers. So very important. So you're basically teaching them how to do coding and to really learn more about computer science.
Yeah, that's exactly what we've been doing. And we've been fortunate enough to teach over 3,000 students at this point.
Wow, that's an incredible achievement. And I know, Kiara, that you're also a president of the Princeton Red Umbrellas. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, so with the Princeton Red Umbrella, we've been doing this for many years, my whole family. And it is a program that we started to promote youth literacy among students in the community. So each year, pre-COVID, we would actually have a weekly event where we would have community leaders come and read to younger students in the community. And after the storytelling, we would have free watermelon, and we would have an art activity for the students to just come out and read.
And a free book.
And a free book. And with the pandemic, we've actually done online story times that we've been posting. So we've done hundreds of story times that have come from even volunteers from the high school, which is really great that we've been able to get high schoolers to help out in the community.
Oh, I know, Veronica, that you must be very proud of your girls, and actually you and Oscar have really led the way for them to give back, just like you were doing, by way of an example.
Yeah, and I'm extremely proud of these girls. And but for me also, one of the things that I've been doing is I teach art in a program that is 80% Latino, 20% Black students. And for me, it's always very important that we mentor these kids. Like, we provide other opportunities, like Kiara mentioned. It's not only about reading, it's also about, engaging them with things related to our culture as well. So the Princeton high schoolers actually volunteer every week to help us,
that's just amazing. And Oscar, I'll let you say the final word here about great job with you and your family getting involved in the community.
Yeah, well, what can I say? I'm proud of my wife. I'm proud of my daughters. In my case, my job is just to volunteer whatever they want me to volunteer, and I just follow their lead. It's all about that.
Well, I really appreciate it. And thank you so much. This is a great family, and wish you a lot of success. I'm sure that I'll be hearing more from you because we want to do a lot of what you're doing here in Atlantic County. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you for joining us at home once again here on Latino Motion.
Choose to get your feet wet, to learn more about protecting our environment. Choose to read minds, to understand the human brain.
Choose to get your hands dirty, to create a masterpiece.
Stockton University offers 50 high-quality academic programs, small class sizes, and affordable tuition. Choose to match your interests and talents at one of New Jersey's nationally ranked universities.
Funding for Latino Motion is provided by Atlanticare, offering primary, specialty, and urgent care, plus surgery and more. Atlantic City Electric, energy for a changing world. and South Jersey Gas.